Hey everyone! I'm sure by now most of you have seen that photo of Bernie Sanders at the inauguration with those super cute and warm and toasty mittens on. I heard he received them from a teacher in Vermont that makes them out of recycled sweaters. So I realized the ones that she made for him are a knitted version, but I wanted to show you guys how you can make a crochet version. Now this tutorial is way more detailed than I'm used to doing, so let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about it. Now the face of the mitten is going to have a graphic pattern, and then the back is just going to be the solid main color. You can download the graphic key in the link below, and I'll also put it in the description. I would call this an intermediate level crochet pattern just due to the fact that you're changing colors and it's a little bit tricky to keep that gauge just right. So if you're a beginner crocheter, it may not be for you. And if you want a complete written pattern with 3 different sizes, I'll put a link to that right here, and it'll also be in the description. And that'll be a $6 download with $1 going to Meals on Wheels, which is an organization close to Bernie's heart. So let's go ahead and get started. Here are the supplies you're going to need to make the mittens. You want to download this off the website if you haven't already. Here's the link. You can use any 4 colors you want, but the colors I'm using are the ones similar to Bernie's mittens. So the main color, this one is actually Red Heart, and it is Cafe Latte. This one I actually got from Dollar Tree. It is Premier Just Yarn Worsted, and the color name is Light Brown, Premier Just Yarn Worsted, and it is Gentle White, and this is just a solid black. Then you'll also want a crochet hook, which is a size F, 3.75 millimeters, or whatever works for your gauge. And you want a scissors, a yarn needle, a stitch marker. These are optional. These are actually tension rings, and I will show you how to use those later on in the video. We're going to start at the bottom of the mitten where it has the cuff. And these are actually single crochets back and forth, worked in back loop only. So let's start by making a slip knot and chain 10. For your first row of single crochets, you want to work in the back loop. And we're just going to single crochet across, 1 single crochet in each chain. And that ends up being 9 single crochets. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn around. And then you're going to work in the back loop of that single crochet. So you're going to take your hook and put it in here into the back loop, underneath that back loop. And do a single crochet just like that. And this creates that ribbing effect. And you're just going to continue these rows until you get to 30 rows total. And each row will have 9 single crochets. You'll be able to count your rows by looking at the ribbing on here. So every time you see this, and then you jump to the next one, that's 2 rows. So we know this part was a chain, this is 1 row. Then you jump to this one, that'll be 3 rows. 5 rows, 7 rows. This is the 8th one here. So to get the right gauge, you want to be doing about 4 rows for every 1 inch. And then the width will be almost 2.5 inches. When you've completed your 30 rows, you want to measure it 7.25 to 7.5 inches. You're going to line them up and then slip stitch these 2 ends together. So this side will be the interior of the cuff. So we're going to turn it inside out. This is right side out. And from here, we're going to crochet around these rows on top. And then we're just going to keep crocheting in the round as we go. So we're going to start with a chain and do a single crochet right underneath that knot right here. The very beginning slip knot you made. And do a single crochet. And you're going to do 1 single crochet per row. So you're just doing a single crochet on top of each row. So we end up doing 31 single crochets because we're going to do one extra one when we get back to the beginning right there. I forgot to mention, as you do this, you want to crochet over this tail that you had at the very beginning. I'm one of those people who do not like to weave in the ends after you're done with your work, so I like to crochet over them whenever I can. So that's what I'm doing here. And you can follow along with our chart right here. We're actually on round 1, and this is our main color, and we're doing 31 single crochets. I just finished my first round of 31 single crochets, and I'm going to put my stitch marker right under the first one that I made, so that way I can remember how many rounds I'm at. So for round 2, we're just doing a single crochet in each of these 31 single crochets. You can see that on our cheat sheet here. It's the main color and all the same color, 31 single crochets. I just finished my second row, and now we're going to start our third row. We're going to do 7 single crochets, and at this point we're going to start our grid pattern. So each of these blocks represents 1 single crochet, and we're on row 3, so we're still going to do the main color here and the main color here, but then we're going to switch to, this is our like off-white color, and then we'll switch back to main color, and then the off-white color, and keep going along this direction until we get to the end. So main color, and then to add in a color, it's a little bit tricky, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. You're going to start your single crochet, but what I found to keep these in line, instead of just putting it underneath the 2 loops like you normally would, you can put it almost in between that V there, and it keeps your stitches in line real nicely. So that's what I did with this one. So you put it through there, through that V, then you're going to yarn over with that new color. So you kind of just have to hold in your hand whatever way works for you. And then you're going to pull up a loop, and then instead of going through with that one, you're going to go back to your main color and then yarn over and pull through. And then you go back to your main one for that 4th single crochet. And like I said, I like to crochet over these ends. We're going to continue to put our hook in between the V's and do single crochets. And we're doing 3 of those. And then you'll add in this color again. So we put our hook into that V, and then we're going to yarn over, make sure it's the working yarn and not the tail. Yarn over with that one and pull it through. And then you're going to yarn over with your original color and pull that through. And if it's too loose, you can pull on it, make it a little bit tighter. And you can keep going from there, 3 more single crochets. And now we're back to this color again. We're going to insert our hook into the V, yarn over with that new color, yarn over with our original color, and pull through. And looks like I'm about out of this yarn, so I'm going to start with the new ball of yarn. And that's 4 of them, and that's how many we have here. So we'll do 2 more single crochets with our main color, since that's what the grid calls for. And then we'll continue our single crochets for the palm of the hand. And for these, I don't think it really matters as much as far as getting into those V's. I kind of just go a normal single crochet underneath those two top ones. But I do like to continue to crochet over this yarn. That way I don't have to go from one side to the other and have like a crazy long string in the middle. And now we are on round 4. So let's continue on. You can also pull this yarn and it helps to not be able to see it in here. I didn't really notice how to do that until later. So you can see, like in this one, you can kind of see a little bit of the yarn on this side. But when you pull it, it helps not be able to see it in here. So let's see what we have on our chart for number 4. So it's going to be the same thing as we did for row 3. And we're going to start with putting it in the middle of that V down there. This just keeps it in line. So we're going to insert our hook into that V and then pull up our new color, yarn over and pull through. And then you can pull on it if it's a little loose. And then you just continue on crocheting, still crocheting into that V down here. And one thing you may want to try if you have a tension ring, and you can use them to keep your yarn separated. So I usually put the main color on the first one and then the other color I'm working with underneath it like that. So I can pull it to make it a little bit tighter. So when I insert my hook, makes it go a little bit faster. And now we're back to our grid pattern again. So let's see what our next row will be. We're on row 5 and we're going to do the main color and then do 3 of the off-white color. Make sure I get it in between that V there. Main color. And then we'll do 3 off-white. So 1, and then we'll have 1 main in between there. And you'll just keep following this pattern and then just make sure you remember what row you're on. And then as you get up to here, you're going to change into this color, which will be this one. And then once you get up here, this will be the black. And now we are on row 6. And in this row, we're going to do 4 increases. And we're going to kind of just space them out on the palm of the hand. And you also want to follow the pattern again as you go. So I'm just going to do 2 single crochets in the next 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to increase in the next one, which means I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then go in the same section and then do another single crochet. This is going to add single crochets to our round. And then we're going to go into the next one and just do 1, and the next one and do 1, and in the next one I'm going to do 2, do another increase. And then I'm going to go and do my pattern along here, and when I get back around to the other side, I'm also going to do 2 increases before I get to the end of this round. So you can just space them out however you want them. So now we're at the grid on row 7, and we're going to join in a new color, which is going to be this camel color. So we're going to do 2 cream colors and then a camel. And now we can join the camel color right here. Oh, if you notice what I did there, I didn't get into that V, and see how it's like not in line? That's what I'm talking about. So I need to take out that stitch and get into the V and then pull it up. It does start to get a little tricky with 3 colors, so I'm going to put on my last tension ring, and that'll keep my colors separated. Now we can continue around the palm of the hand, and I do crochet over both of the other colors of yarn. That way I don't have to tuck in the ends at the end. So I just completed row 10, and now we're on number 11, and that's when we make the thumb hole. If you're making it on the left hand, you do it at the beginning. This is how it looks. So you start at the beginning and make it on this side, but since we're making it on the right hand, we're going to do it after we do our grid and then make right here. And also we are going to join in the black yarn, and we are done with the cream colored yarn for now, so I'm just going to cut that one off. So we're following row 11, and we're going to start with our cream color, do 2 of those, and then switch to black. And that ends the grid portion of round 11. So now we are going to do the thumb hole. You're going to take your main color and do 1 single crochet right here. And then you're going to chain 7. Then you want to skip 6 stitches on here. So skip those 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go into the 7th one here. And then we'll continue to crochet over these 2 colors. And then you just keep going. And now we just completed the grid part for row 12, around 12. And we are going to single crochet in the next single crochet, and then you have this chain right here. What you're going to do is single crochet in each of these chains and crochet over these 2 yarns at the same time. So 1 single crochet in each chain, and you only want to use this top loop here, because when we go to do the thumb, we're going to use the bottom loops to attach the single crochets to those. So you want to have that bottom loop showing still. And there we got our 7 single crochets. And then you can single crochet in each of these as you normally would. And don't forget that one right here. It's kind of hard to see. So we just finished row 16, this one here. And we did 36 single crochets for each row. Now, starting with row 17, you're going to do 1 decrease, and you can see as you go, you're going to do 1 decrease in quite a few rows, and you'll see which ones you need to do the decrease in. So you can continue on. You want to do the decrease at some point back here on the palm, so that way you don't have any issues with the grid over here on this side. And right now we can actually cut this black yarn off because we're done with it. So I usually do the decrease somewhere in the middle here, and then I kind of sporadically do them on either side. That way it's not like 1 decrease all in a row and it kind of like looks weird. So you can do it any way you want. That's just the way I do it. So let's just continue on. You can follow the pattern here. Just follow the grid so you know which colors to use, and keep going up, and make sure you do a decrease as you go if it says decrease. And when you do the decrease, you just start out like you're doing a single crochet, but instead of yarning over and pulling through, you're going to put your hook into the next single crochet, pull up yarn, and then yarn over and pull all the way through. So you can see you've crocheted into 2 stitches here, and you've only made 1 total single crochet. So that's how the decrease works. You can see for the next 2 rows, rows 17 and 18, you're going to just be using the main color. And I just wanted to remind you to remember to go into the V's when you're crocheting the grid part, so that way everything remains in line. So as I was finishing up, I noticed a couple things. I actually missed a stitch right here. This should have been black, but I think I'll just mark it with a black Sharpie and hopefully you won't be able to tell. And also I noticed on my pattern here that the one up here is different from what I did here. So this pattern is more like what I did here, and these are more zigzag. So I'm just gonna do the same thing I did on here and onto this one, so that way they match. But you can do it this way or this way. It's up to you. I mean, so with this pattern, you can move things around and change the colors and do whatever you want with it, make it your own. So I'm finishing up that last row, and I am gonna single crochet all the way to this side, so that way I'll have the yarn on one side so I can sew it together. And we can cut this off. For that last stitch, I'm just gonna do a slip stitch, and then you want to leave quite a long tail so that way you can sew this part together. You can pull that tail through, and I want to turn this inside out and then sew this together. And if you have any loose ends, go ahead and tuck them in. Then you can thread on your needle. And we're going to line these two up and sew them together. And then you can just sew this in, tuck in those ends 2 ways, so it's nice and secure. Now we're going to turn it right side out, and we're going to do our thumb hole. So take your main color and make a slip knot. You want to insert your hook in that single crochet that is right there on the end. That's this one here. And then you're going to single crochet over these extra colors so we can get them out of the way. So you do 1 single crochet, and then you're going to do 1 in each single crochet across here. It'll be 6 single crochets. Then you're going to turn, and you're going to insert your hook in this edge here. There's really no single crochet there or chain or anything, but you're just going to insert it on the edge. And then you're going to pull up a loop, and then insert your hook again into that chain here, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through. So you just did a decrease. Then you're going to single crochet across here. It'll be another 6 single crochets. And when you get to that last one, when you get to that 6th one, you're going to do the same thing and just do a decrease right here. Just helps to minimize those holes on the sides. So then you are ready to crochet over this tail, and you can go back around to that first single crochet you made and start single crocheting over that. And you probably want to put a slip marker right here. I'm going to put it right here so I know that was my very first one I made. And you'll want to make 9 rounds of single crochets. And then when you're done with that, I'll show you how to fasten off. Now I'm at 9 rows and I have 13 stitches around. So I'm going to do one last slip stitch right here and then leave a long tail for sewing. And you can pull this through. Go ahead and thread on your needle. And what you're going to do is just use your needle and go through from the outside to the middle of those V's that you made, the very top ones. On each one, you're going to go up like this. And then once we get all the way around, you're just going to pull this tight, and then it just kind of scrunches the thumb together. And last one, so now we can just pull this tight and see how that works. Nice and pulled together. Then all you need to do is just weave in your ends. Do that way, and I also do the other direction. And mitten complete.